Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Hush Batman figure from Mcfarlane Toys. Now, I put off getting this figure for quite a while, and the reason is because I thought, oh, great, another Batman figure. I mean, honestly, that's what it boils down to. I'm not even a huge Batman fan, and yet I have an enormous collection of Batman figures somehow because I do like, in general, DC Multiverse, and I just keep ending up with more Batman figures because they just don't stop making them. But I actually came across this guy in an actual retail store and thought, why not? Let me pick him up and see what I think. And I did. And I gotta say, I'm actually pretty impressed with this guy. In fact, I'll make a pretty bold statement here and say that as of right now, this is the best Batman figure that Mcfarlane has produced. And I'm really glad I picked it up. So let's talk about accessories real quick. First, he does come with a couple batarangs, and then he comes with a spare pair of fisted hands, one of which has, I guess that's a kryptonite ring. I don't know because I never read the Hush storyline, so I don't even really know the source material here. But that's the accessories you get, short of the, obligatory card and stand that all the Mcfarlane stuff comes with, which at this point I have so many of these stands, I don't even take them out of the package anymore when I throw the box away. That's how many I have at this point. But we have the figure itself, and he actually looks fantastic. It's a fairly simple sculpt here, and there is no paint on this figure whatsoever. It is just all molded plastic. Actually, that's not true. There is a little bit of paint right up here at the top of the forearms where the gray is, as opposed to where it was molded in blue. I believe that's the way it goes, unless it was molded in gray and they painted the blue. Other than that, that's all the paint that's on this figure. But it's still done really, really well. The sculpt is fantastic. The look of the costume, while not my traditional favorite classic look for Batman, I prefer the gold symbol on the chest. But honestly, other than that, the blue is great, the gray is great, he's got a yellow belt, and it's just a nice, simple Batman, and it looks really good. Now, I will say, and I'll do some comparisons here, that there is a lot of reuse going on here. But that's fine because it's done really, really well. And in fact, the only thing I can really say that I'm not a fan of on this particular figure is the cape, and that's not reused at all. Now, it's not that there's anything wrong with the cape. I just don't like these stylized capes. I really don't. Making it look like it's blowing in the wind or something. I just don't like it. I'd rather just have just a flat hanging cape if it's going to be plastic, or I'd rather have a cloth cape, quite honestly. But other than that, I have no complaints about this figure. It looks great. The head sculpt is beautifully done. Everything on it looks fantastic, and sculpt, paint, and articulation are all on point here. And I'm not going to go over the articulation. It's standard Mcfarlane stuff. You guys know what you're getting into with these figures, but there's just really not anything to complain about. And when comparing it to all the other Batman figures I have purchased and still have today, when it comes to Mcfarlane's Batman figures, this one to me is by far the best. So let's go ahead, throw up some other Batman figures with this guy and see how he stacks up. Alright, so first we gotta compare him to the Three Jokers Batman, and the reason is because these use about half of the same amount of parts between them. The knees, thighs, crotchal area, lower torso, biceps, and shoulders are the same on both of these. What is different is the lower legs, feet, upper torso, and forearms, and then of course the heads are different sculpts. And when I look at these two, and I like this Three Jokers Batman, but to me, he just looks a little too big, a little too bulky for Batman. It's like the difference between an athlete and a power lifter. Just the way they look. And honestly, as I sit here and look at it, I think a lot of it has to do with how they proportion this new Hush figure out a lot better. While they're both roughly the same height and similar builds with the same shoulders and arms and that kind of thing, the torso on this one looks a little more athletic and a little less like a weightlifter, and also the fact that his head sits up a little bit higher. He has more of a neck, just gives him a more lean appearance, which I like better for Batman, because I don't think of Batman as a power lifter. I think of him as a well-trained athlete, and this one just gives that appearance a little bit better than the Three Jokers one does. So I really, really like this Batman, and really the only thing about the Three Jokers Batman I actually like better is the more static cape. The cape that just kind of hangs behind him and isn't really stylized blowing in the wind. Other than that, the Hush Batman is 10 times better. And for another couple comparisons here, on the right we've got Mcfarlane's Detective Comics 1000 Batman. On the left, we've got DC Collectibles Essentials Nightfall Batman. Now, these are two very different Batman figures compared to this Hush figure. They're both shorter than this figure is, which doesn't bother me. I actually like both these figures quite a bit. And specifically when comparing it to the Detective Comics 1000, this is just a much better figure, pretty much across the board. From the way the upper torso is cut at the dumbbell joint, it just looks better, to, in my opinion, the better proportions between the upper body and the lower body. This Detective Comics 1000, while I like the overall look of the figure, is kind of off just a little bit compared to a lot of the other figures that Mcfarlane puts out. Now, I will say, comparing it to the DC Collectibles Essentials Nightfall Batman, I still prefer that Batman just because it has a nice classic look, and I really do like the DC Collectibles Essentials line. I think they make fantastic stuff, and so I still like that Batman better. But if we're just comparing this Hush Batman to what Mcfarlane has put out, again, guys, it is at this point hands down the best. All right, so let's talk price here real quick. And retail on this guy is $25. Now, I actually got a deal on this guy. I walked into Walmart, and not only was he there, which is unusual at my local Walmart, but they actually had him on sale for $19.98. So I got him a little bit cheaper, but let's talk at $25. Is it worth it at this point? And I would say yes. I'd say it's an easy yes. If you're a fan of Batman, or you're just in general a fan of Mcfarlane's DC Multiverse, I mean, at this point, if that's what your collection consists of, this is the best Batman you can have on your roster, either as your go-to Batman for a Batman shelf or a Justice League shelf or whatever it is. This guy's just fantastic. He really, really is. And again, I don't have any complaints here. It's just a great figure. And I hate to say that because it's just yet another Batman figure, but it's true. It's just a really, really solid, well done Batman figure, and I just really can't find anything wrong with it. And I'm honestly glad I picked it up. And I'm not usually glad, happy when I'm adding a whole bunch of Batman figures to my collection, because again, Batman is not my favorite character. I know that's controversial for some people out there, but I like him having a place on Justice League, and I like him well enough as a superhero, but he's by far not my favorite superhero, and not even close to, top 5 of my favorite DC heroes. So, it's just one of those characters I'm like, okay, well, you have to have a Batman in your collection, or maybe a couple, one on your Justice League shelf, one on your Batman shelf, cool. And that's really it. But I gotta say, Mcfarlane knocked it out of the park with this one. They did a fantastic job. I honestly can't wait to get a hold of the Nightfall Batman, so I can do a comparison between the two of those, which obviously I'll do a video on. Because this one's done so well, I have a hard time imagining that the Nightfall Batman could be that much better than this one. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Look, guys, I'm glad I got him. I really am. I was hesitant. I put it off for a while until I walked into Walmart, saw it for $5 off, essentially. I mean, that's why I picked him up, and now I'm really, really glad that I did. So that is it, guys. I would love to hear what you guys think about this figure in the comment section down below. Let me know if you like this guy or not, and if you do, where do you rank him on the list of ever-growing Mcfarlane Batman figures? Because for me, as I said, he's definitely the best one that's come out yet, and I'm just curious how you guys feel about it. So let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and always remember to enjoy your collection.